Hello people of the Imperium. Welcome to this channel, a channel I'm honestly not even sure what to make of yet. If you've seen my shorts or my one actual video, which is an Overwatch montage, then yeah, very original, I know. And then I realized my name doesn't fit, my content doesn't fit, and then my brain did the one useful thing it ever does and said, what if my name itself was the video idea? So bear with me, let's ask an interesting question. Could there even be a vegan space marine? Now, before anyone gets offended, vegans or Warhammer fans, we need to define what we're talking about, because this actually matters later. What is a space marine? Or what is a vegan at that matter? So let's start with the easy one. A space marine is an augmented human weapon of the Imperium of mankind. They're selected, indoctrinated, and genetically altered for one purpose only: war. Only in death does duty end. And even then, if you're unlucky, you wake up in a dreadnought and death just takes its time. Now, let's get to the harder one. What is a vegan? Because if you ask 10 vegans, you get like 12 definitions. And yes, I say this lovingly, being a vegan myself. So, broadly speaking, veganism is a philosophy that rejects exploitation and harm, not just towards humans, but toward animals as well. To keep this fair, I'll use definitions from the Vegan Society, including Leslie Cross and Donald Watson. Let's start with Leslie Cross. The object of the society shall be to end exploitation of animals by man, and the word veganism shall mean the doctrine that man should live without exploitation. And here's Donald Watson's one. Veganism is a philosophy and a way of living which seeks to exclude as far as is possible and practicable all forms of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose, and by extension promotes the development and use of animal-free alternatives for the benefit of animals, humans, and the environment. In dietary terms, it denotes the practice of dispensing with all products derived wholly or partly from animals. So, both frame veganism as an ethical stance against unnecessary exploitation as far as is possible and practicable. So, with this out of the way, and now that we know that, could there be a vegan space marine? Short answer, no. This is the grim dark future. The Imperium runs on endless war, mass death, and industrialized brutality. Compassion is not a virtue. It's a liability. A space marine preaching ethical restraint toward animals would look weak at best and heretical at worst. So yeah, that's it. End of the video. Wait, okay. Let's actually think about this from a different angle. Because modern veganism as a moral obligation rooted in compassion wouldn't work. I mean, it barely works now. Looking at you greedy, gluttonous Nurgle worshippers. So the real question isn't, could a space marine be ethically vegan? It's, could a space marine avoid animal products for reasons that still make sense in 40k? So first, let's be very clear about why ethical veganism in the modern sense just doesn't survive contact with the 31st millennium. Veganism today is about reducing harm, rejecting exploitation, and extending more consideration to animals. The Imperium of man does not do moral consideration. It barely does moral consideration for humans. Entire planets get exterminated because paperwork was filed late. In a universe where human life is spent by the billion, animal rights isn't even on the radar. A space marine openly arguing for compassion toward animals wouldn't be seen as enlightened. He'd be seen as emotionally compromised, philosophically contaminated, or one bad conversation away from heresy. And that last one gets you a very intense talk with your chaplain. So how could it work? And here's where the thing gets interesting. Because while ethical veganism doesn't fit, dietary restriction absolutely does. Space Marines already live like monks, take extreme vows, deny themselves pleasure, and ritualize suffering. So the question becomes, can a Space Marine avoid animal products without it being about compassion? And the answer to that is yes. Rarely, quietly, and grimly. Okay, so the key shift is ethics to asceticism. The trick is motivation. In 40k, motivation is everything. A Marine doesn't say, I don't eat animals because I care about them. He says, I deny myself flesh. Curse. Indulgence is weakness. Suddenly, this isn't veganism, it's ascetic discipline. Nutrient paste, synth protein, chemically reclaimed biomass, food not as enjoyment but as fuel. No empathy, no activism, no preaching. Just control. How an Imperial Fist could get away with it. Let's take a concrete example. An Imperial Fist, a chapter famous for stoicism, self-denial, and enduring suffering for its own sake. This Marine takes a personal penitential vow. I will consume only that which is forged, not born. Flesh is weakness. Discipline is strength. He still follows orders, he still fights, he still kills without hesitation. He doesn't talk about animals, he doesn't convince others, and the moment mission requirements demand otherwise, he breaks the vow without hesitation. The chaplain knows, the apothecary knows, nobody else needs to. That's not heresy, that's just another strange oath in the galaxy full of them. Now, we could talk about which of the 18 original Space Marine legions would be the most likely one to produce a, let's call it a vegan adjacent Space Marine. And honestly, there are some very strong candidates. But I'm going to leave that one up to you. So leave a comment with the legion or chapter you think would be the most plausible. And in the next video we talk about just how right or how very wrong you are. So in the grim darkness of the far future, there is no ethical consumption, only duty. And yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna still continue naming myself a vegan Space Marine, because like you found out in this video, doesn't really make sense, but I still like the sound to it. So if you enjoyed this heretical thought experiment, feel free to like, subscribe, or report me to the Inquisition. See you next time.
Die Rüstkammer sorgt für uns.
Achtung! Kranantrieb wurde blockiert. Bitte nötige Reinigung vornehmen, um ihn wieder in Betrieb zu nehmen. Einsatz fortgesetzt. Antrieb wiederhergestellt. Y-Achse ausgerichtet. Fehlertoleranz 0,0 Nanometer. Gesegnet sei die göttliche Präzision des Omnissiah.
Generator 4. Sein Ziel, seid mit uns. Und jetzt los mit der Bombe.
Verkleidung von Generator 4. Das Betrieb ist nicht gestattet, während er in Betrieb ist.